So I just finished a program that I've been working on for the last couple of weeks that is a tracking system for my band, and I'm going to explain this a little bit to you. We're going to start with the fact that in my band program I have a playoff system, and there are 10 ranks. We're looking at rank 1 right here. Every rank, as you can see, has 10 points on it. So my playoff system has 100 points. It's based on mainly essential elements, and through the course of the 10 ranks you go through all 3 of the essential elements books. So we start on rank 1. Every rank has some scales and some counting. Most ranks also have a vocabulary test, like you can see here in rank 2. This is the vocabulary test. This particular one you have to get 100% correct in order to pass, and then it tells you what numbers that you're supposed to play out of for the points. If you play one perfectly, then you get it marked off. Got a study guide here for the vocabulary test. The percussion ranks are completely different. They cover different things, and the clarinet ranks have an altered rank 4 because in rank 4 we start doing some stuff in the back of the essential elements books, because this is the last rank in essential elements book 1. So instead the clarinet rank is altered to where it covers crossing the break, and it doesn't have some of those harder exercises where it's all up above the break. So what I have done in the past is, first of all, I set up a grading scale to where a kid had to get a certain number of points for an A, a certain number of points for a B, and I have always kept track of it with these tracking booklets. This is 1 grade level's worth right here, so that's my 8th graders tracking booklets, and I've got a big file cabinet at work where I keep everybody with their own booklet, and this just shows the file that I filed in, B9, B for black because we have orange and black days at my school. So the top part is always there because it's bigger than the rest of it. The bottom part is just for weekly lessons. You can put the date, what's assigned, what we plan on working on, the new assignment, notes, and there's one of these for each quarter. Up at the top, we have the rank that we're on, rank 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 10, the point number, points 1 through 10, and then up here, as they play a point perfectly, I mark it off, and I can always keep track of how many points they have. And if you look in here, it'll say S for scale, scales 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. V for vocab test, that's the number of points they can miss on the vocab test. The one we were looking at, you had to hit 100%, so you can only miss 0 there. Can't miss any. C for counting, every rank has some of that in there, and then the other ones are just numbers out of the essential elements books. So as they go along, we mark those off. Some of the kids will hit 100. I have other stuff that we do after we hit 100. And then down here we have the year. It's 6th grade. Semester 1 is what we're looking at there. And it takes them clear up to 8th grade, semester 4. So what I've done is I've made a computer file that gets rid of all of those. And that's what I'm going to show you now. So go ahead and close this. My computer is extremely slow, and so is my internet, as you're going to see here in a little bit. Okay, so there's a couple of global editors. This is the file that is called 001 key, and it's a key because it connects all of the other files. In fact, I'm going to show you all of the files that I have here. The key is up at the top, and then I've got 150 files in this folder, and it's because I have 150 booklets, 150 of these things. Each file is like one of those things. The key is what we use to edit the data in all of the books at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to write the names of the students in each one of these. And if anybody tries this program out, you'll notice that you can't click on this to edit the name of it, because what it does is it opens up that first booklet. And right now you can see that right now it just says student 1 and it doesn't have any of the information filled out. So what I'm going to do is click, I want to open this key again. There we go. In order to edit that, I'm going to click beside it because there's no hyperlink there, and I'm going to use my little arrow on my keyboard to move over, and I'm just going to write in student 1. I would recommend writing the student's name, last name, comma, first, because that's going to help with the alphabetizing later on. And I hit enter there, and now you'll see whenever I open that same file, it's filled out the student's name. And as you can see, it's that tracking booklet that we just had. There's a couple additions to it. I've got the scales up here, and it tells you what the concert pitch is of the scale. And that way, whenever you get into where it says like S1 and 6, you know that's scale 1, which is a B flat scale, and 6 through 11 are chromatic scales that I have on another sheet that I'm going to be sharing to the Google Drive here pretty soon, and they get progressively bigger. I have notes down here for the date and if they paid or not, if it's a summer lesson, amount of practice time that they have for people that keep track of that. I do in the summer. New materials to cover, I would fill this out at the beginning of the day whenever I'm looking over the kids' file. Put their new assignment. It'll either be the same as their last assignment or it'll be a new one depending on if they practiced or not. And then some notes over here. And you can type those in by hand. As you get a point, what you're going to do is you're going to click up here, and it's all a bunch of formulas. Everything's interconnected here. It's going to tell you the total points that the kid has and then the points of this quarter. Also, it says how many points you have to get for a different grade here, and I've got it on summer, 6th grade summer. That is why I have zeros there. If a really advanced kid over the summer is going to get 10 points before school even starts, because band doesn't even technically start until quarter 1 of 6th grade. And you can see down at the bottom, I've got tabs for 6th grade first quarter, 2nd quarter, 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, and it's going to go all the way to 8th grade 4th quarter. As I click on these tabs, for instance, 7th grade 2nd quarter, it's going to tell you the different amount of points you're going to have to reach in order to get these grades. Currently, this kid has an F because he hadn't done anything whatsoever. Got no points this quarter, no total points. So let's add some points in. I'm going to have to add a 1. Now, if they got one of these, 12 or 14, I would mark a 0.5. Same with counting. If they get one of the countings, I'd put a 0.5. But if they complete it totally, I'll put a 1, and it turns blue, just so that we can see that it's done. And as I'm doing that, the total of points has gone up to 3. It says we've got 3 points this quarter, and we'll say that's all that they did over the summer. We're going to switch to 6th grade quarter 1. Now, they've got 3 points total, but 0 so far this quarter. So we'll add in a couple more points here. And we'll give one more. Okay. I don't actually start grading until 2nd quarter, whenever full band meets, because right now it's a pull-out class and it just doesn't show up on the report card. I went ahead and put some arbitrary numbers in there anyway, but they're going to start being a little more meaningful when we get into 6th grade quarter 2. Okay, they start off the quarter so far, 8 points total, 0 points this quarter. Currently they're at a B level because they worked ahead. And so we're going to add some more points here. And I want to show you something that's happening while I do this. If I go over here to records, it's starting to keep track of how many points I got each quarter. And it's keeping track of what the grade level is. I stopped on quarter 2 of 6th grade, which they have an A for. And if they were to actually stop right there and do nothing the rest of the year, they've earned a C for quarter 3 and a D for quarter 4. So they could stop and they can get those grades, but they're going to want to keep on going. And everybody starts the quarter with an F with 0 points. That's why these say F right here, because we haven't got that far yet. But as they go along, those will start raising up. So you can see what they've gotten every quarter. I've also got a graph here. And the graph shows, in the global editor, I typed in how many points that, I'll go back to this. This is that global editor, the key grading data. It says global editor, you type in how many points you want the kids to have at a certain time, and that's what it uses to calculate the grades. You put in what an A level is going to be. What I did was, for my regular band here, I typed how many points I thought we would be at a certain time in the year. So like by the end, it says 6D, but that'd be fourth quarter. By the end of fourth quarter, I expect to have worked up to 30 points. So then I just come up here to the A level and notice that the A level is just 1 or 2 behind the full band always. So that the A-level kids are learning the stuff in class. They might not be working super extra hard to get any farther ahead, but they're at least doing the stuff that's in class, and they're staying just a little bit behind it, maybe about a week behind, and they're passing that stuff and they're off in their sectional because they're learning it in class. Now the honor students are my A+ students. So I set what I would like for the kids that are getting A+, what level I'd like them to be at, and it's quite a bit higher. And so I went ahead and filled that out. This is editable. You edit that. It changes it on all booklets. Now I'm going to go back and show you this graph again so it makes a little more sense. My honor band, that is what points we're actually working on in honor band. And it says at what point in the year. We've got the regular band, which all of my students are actually in, but we work a little slower. And then the rest of these are grades. If you have an F student, they're going to be down here, or a D student, I'm sorry. C student's going to be the yellow line, and B student's actually going to follow right along there. And we've got our A students and our A+ students up here. Okay. The rest of these are just calculation buttons. I also added a sheet where you can put the date and you can mark whether the kids know these enharmonic notes. You can just quiz them. You can tell them a note name. You can tell them a D. And if they know the D, you can say, yes, they know it, or no, they don't know it. And you can keep track of what notes they know and what notes they don't know. It's a pretty quick thing. You just run through all of those just as quick as you can and mark whether they know it or not. Okay, now we're going to move over to the cooler part, which is over here. Got myself an iPad Pro, and I put this program on it. Move over here for a second so you can't see my password for everything. Okay, so here's one of these files again. I can take the pencil here and I can add some stuff to this. I can either do it by hand, and I just typed in a 1. This is kind of the enter button here, and you see it still shows up blue. One thing that will not happen is it will not write on this if there's any frozen panes. So if you're going to use one of these, you're going to have to go to pane 14 right here, and then you go to view, this freeze frames, we're going to unselect it. And now you'll notice whenever I write, it writes on it. Okay, we'll undo that. So whenever you do that with your finger though, it doesn't write. You can write the date. So today is 8-2. And we'll say that they paid for their summer lesson. Practice times for an hour. Before the lesson, I came through and I tried to figure out what we were going to work on. Maybe we were going to learn 8th notes today. And the assignment is going to be number 42 in the Essential Elements Book 1, because that's 8th notes. And we can write any notes here that we want. The cool thing about this is if you open it up in the computer, then these notes that you wrote in by hand are just going to be converted to a picture file, and they're going to show up on the computer as well. But on the computer, you just type stuff in there. There's also a page here for notes, and you can enter in parent information, their names, cell phone numbers, email. I would type this in instead of using a pencil. Students information, instrument information, any repairs or anything that happened to the instrument. And then we have a spot for notes here, stuff that we want to remember about the kids through the course of the time that you have with them. And I think that is all that I have to show you on here. Oh, this is neat because you can change the color of your pen if they don't know something. You can mark it. I hope they know the B flat, but and if they get it, change color of your pen, come through here and write it. Yes, they do know it. however you want to mark it. Check marks, just so you can see what they know and what they don't know. Okay, I'm going to get out of this file, and I'm going to show you some of the features now with the key. So go back to our key. All right, so I've actually gone through and I've filled out my information for my whole band here, and I've put my students' names in there. The yellow ones are kids that have quit, but I still have them in the system. The system actually doesn't tally the kids that have quit though. I can go to a graph, and what this is going to show me is the number of kids who have a certain number of points. This is the point numbers over here on the side, and you can see there's 70 kids who have minimize this here. 70 kids who have 0. That's because I have 70 empty cells without a student name on them. But then my lowest kid, there's one kid that has 6.5. That's actually a percussionist, so that's I don't have the percussionist out of this running. So the percussionists do something completely different, so that's not a bad thing. And it's pretty even spread. This was by the end of the school year. I had one kid that was up to 62. She actually took private lessons over the summer, so she got well past that. Then it will rank the kids. It'll show you who has the most points down to who has the least points. And it shows you the total number of points the band has. If you record that at the beginning of the week, you can have an incentive by the end of the week. You say, hey, if we get another 100 points as a group by the end of the week, we'll do something. It will tally seating. I have no oboes, but it went ahead and it put the flutes in order by how many points they had. And every time you update this, it'll show you who your section leaders are, and you can do seat assignments that way. And then in that way, I never have any auditions. They're just in seating by the number of points they have. That's the global editor we talked about. And this is a sectional sheet, and it gives you instructions in red on how to sort these. What I do with this is I group kids by how many points they have and what points they have whenever they come for their sectionals, which means I might do different kids in each sectional every week. I have my points up here: rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, rank 4. I just went to rank 5. And here you can see that these kids never finished this on rank 1. So, and my percussionists aren't in this list. So what I'm going to want to do is have these kids, no matter what instrument they play, it could be mixed, they're going to meet together. These kids here need to meet together. That way we're all working on the same point. Those kids need to meet together, those kids need to meet together. And whenever they get together, they can work on that, and it looks like they can work on that as well. And at the end of the week, I'll update it, and I'll see it'll change a little bit, and then I'll always have the kids working on the same stuff. Okay, next, I've got a place down here for midterms. You can go to, we'll just select midterm for first quarter of 7th grade. So if there is a student or actually a blank file, it'll just give a number and it'll say F. They have 0 points. But if the student has been entered in there, it'll show the number of points that they have currently and their grade, because it's calculated, and it's going to show you the number of points needed this term, which is right here, and it'll show you how many more they need. And this kid needs one more in order to get an A. And the negative number means they've already passed it. They passed B 9 points ago. So I wouldn't give this to my advanced students because I don't want them to know that they're getting an A. They're going to keep trying, and that way they're going to get a whole bunch of points. Or if they're getting close to an A+, I might show them what they need for an A+, so that they can work on that. What I would do, though, is give it to some of the C and D students so they can say, hey, I need 6 more points to get a B, and I'm going to need 16 more to get an A. So those are the midterms. Then I've got it set up to also give final grades for the semester. That's what these card are. That means report card. So we'll just see how everybody was doing in third quarter. I alphabetized this, and these are the empty ones, okay? So starts down here in alphabetical order. This is why I said it's nice to enter the names, last name, comma, first name. And so that kid had a C, that one had an A, and I would go through and I could just enter this in really fast in my computer program whenever I'm assigning the grades, and the grading's done for you. There is one glitch that I can tell you about if you're going to try this program, and that is if you want to use the iPad for this, then you need to upload it to the internet somehow. And you can put it, Google Drive doesn't work. I've been using Microsoft 365 because it comes with OneDrive and it automatically opens it up in Excel. The problem with Google Drive is it opens it up in Sheets and it just doesn't work out. You gotta open it in Excel, which means that you're gonna have to have an Office 365 subscription for that. Otherwise, you'll be editing it on the computer. If you do it on the computer, you don't have to upload it. You can just make it a profile on your desktop and use it from there. Now, the problem is, in order for an Excel file to update its data, you have to open the other files associated with it. So that means nothing for entering in data, just like I would on this sheet here. I can go ahead and open it, enter it, close it, open it again, enter it, close it. But for this key file to update and show you grades and rankings and all that stuff, and midterms and report cards, you have to open all 151 files so they can all refresh. And then you go through and close them all with the Control-W command, and which will take you about 10 minutes. I plan on doing it once a week. I'm also going to download all of this information every night, which only takes like 1 minute. That way, if the next day the computers aren't working, the internet's out, I'll still have it on hard file and it'll be from the day before. And then at the end of the day, I re-upload it and go from there. Let me know if you have any questions. All of this stuff's in my Google Drive folder. I'm going to put this video in the Google Drive folder right along with all of the files.